top story this hour. There are tentative signs of progress in the US-Iran peace talks today. Speaking after meeting Iran Speaker of Parliament Mohammad Bagher Khalibaf, the US Vice President J.D. Vance in Switzerland said the two sides had now established good foundations for a final deal. The Vice President also said Iran is willing to allow inspectors from the International Atomic Agency back into the country.
And this is probably what we're most excited about as Americans, the Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently denuclearizing or permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran.
Well, to talk a little bit more about J.D. Vance's trip to Switzerland and how this deal is playing out in the United States, Larry Sabato is with me live on the programme. He's the director of the University of Virginia Centre for Politics. Hello to you, and thanks for speaking to us here at France 24.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Look, J.D. Vance sounding pretty confident, pretty optimistic that progress has been made in Switzerland. He made comments to that effect as well yesterday. But also yesterday, we had his boss, the US president, threatening once again to bomb Iran. Trump saying that he could do that harder, quote, than ever before. Why do we have this contradiction then? The president saying one thing and the vice president saying quite the other?
Because the president cannot stick to a script and he cannot stick to a prearranged strategy. All I can say is it's going to be a long 60 days, and it could go well beyond that. We'll just have to see. You asked what is the reaction in the United States? It is almost universally seen, this war, as a fiasco, And it will continue to be. It's now 70% of Americans say it was not worth the costs. That's never happened before in the age of polling for any of our conflicts. Not at first. Vietnam became unpopular a long time after the war began. The same with Afghanistan. This war was unpopular on day one, and the percentage opposing it has only grown, as I said, now to about 70%.
OK, so you talk about the war as a fiasco in the minds of the American populace. What about this deal that they do appear to be carving out right now? We've got some reports today that, for example, that Washington could unfreeze Iranian assets. This would be for the purchase of American soy, of American corn, of American wheat. If that's confirmed, how do you think that will play in the US?
Well, it may play well in certain farm areas, for example, which have been in a kind of depression. But you have to look at the big picture. And at this point, Americans don't know what to believe and who to believe. Almost everything the administration has said has turned out to be false in whole or in part. So you hear one thing at 9 a.m. and another thing at noon and something else at 5 p.m. and you wake up the next morning and it's like a whole new world. You've got a whole new set of principles.
You're talking about how the American population is, confused or frustrated with what this administration is doing when it comes to Iran. What about the Republican Party? Because the parts of this deal that we are aware of don't appear to have gone down particularly well with the GOP. We are something like 5 months out now from the midterms. Is that why there are Republicans who are pretty critical of Trump on this, do you think?
Well, there are a couple of reasons why they're critical, and you're absolutely correct to point to the divisions in the Republican Party, which we haven't been used to in Trump's second term. They tend to back him on absolutely everything, no matter what he says, no matter what he does, until now. Because, as you mentioned, we're 5 months away from the midterm elections, and actually voting begins in late September in most of our states. What does that mean? It means Republicans will be on the ballot facing an electorate angry about all kinds of things, including gas prices. They go up, they go down. They've gone down from the incredible highs they were at. But this war, when it started, had gas prices at $2.98 a gallon. It went up to $4.50, $4.60 per gallon. It's now back in the $3 a gallon range. But as I say, every morning it can go up as well as go down. So people will still be paying considerably more for gas and food and material and virtually everything else because of the price of oil and the related materials by election day or by the time they vote. These Republicans realize they're the ones who are going to pay the price. Trump isn't on the ballot.
Trump isn't on the ballot indeed, and I wonder whether this rings true to you. I had read somewhere that actually, unlike most presidents, whether that's Republicans or Democrats that came before him, Trump actually doesn't care that much about how Republicans do in this midterm election. What he's interested in is himself. He's interested in his legacy. That's why he's, tearing up the part of the White House to build this ballroom. He's focused on how he'll be remembered. He's not so much interested in party politics itself, and that makes him rather unusual.
That is true in part, but here's the fallacy. He cares very much how this works out, especially in the House of Representatives, because almost certainly he is going to be brought up by majority Democrats on another impeachment charge. We've never had a president impeached even twice until Donald Trump in the first term. This would be his third impeachment. He cares very much about who wins the House, and that's why he okayed this ridiculous redistricting plan that ended up costing Democrats 7 to 10 seats around the country, which is going to make it more difficult for Democrats to win the House, although I think they're still the front runners for it. But he does care. Now, the alternative there and the support for what you were saying is that if the Democrats win and the Republicans lose, I would guarantee you at any price, at any bet, that Donald Trump will have a long list of reasons why those candidates who lost are wholly responsible and he had nothing to do with it. That you can be sure of.
And just a last question for you, back on this deal that is being negotiated now with Iran. What does a good deal look like from the perspective of the American population? What can Trump say, look, this is a tangible win? Because there has been some suggestions that what might be agreed could look not unlike what Obama agreed back in 2015. So how can the Americans say, look, we've got something worthwhile out of this war?
Well, Trump will say that regardless of what is actually signed. However, what is critical here and what Americans have grasped is that the day before the war, the Strait of Hormuz was an international waterway under international law, and Iran could not close it, would not close it, and we've lost that. And no matter what they sign, we have empowered Iran to intervene in the strait and intervene, therefore, in the flow of oil to the rest of the world, affecting gas prices and diesel prices and all the rest. There's nothing we can do about that. There will be no piece of this agreement that will reverse history, that will enable us to go back to the status quo ante before the war began. So whatever it is, it's going to be lesser than it was before, and it won't even come close to the expansive, detailed Obama agreement.
All right, Larry Sabato, there's much more I'd like to ask you, but we will have to leave it there. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.